The chamber fell silent as Ambassador Kira Quinn finished speaking. Her words echoed through the vast room, carrying the weight of human desperation. The holographic images of the burning colonies flickered one last time, showing the horror of entire worlds turned to ash by the Rygoth Dominion. Yet, despite the overwhelming evidence of human suffering, the galactic representatives seemed unmoved. The Rygoth were not a new species in the galaxy. They had been a dominant force for centuries, their ships and weapons feared across countless star systems. Their empire was vast, stretching far beyond the human territories. And their ways were brutal. To the Rygoth, humanity was just another young species to be crushed beneath their boots, a nuisance standing in the way of their expansion. Kira Quinn's hands were clenched tightly behind her back as she stood before the council, trying to maintain her composure. The Sovereignty Council, a loose coalition of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful civilizations, had been convened in response to humanity's plea for help. But instead of providing support, the council members bickered and argued, too afraid to confront the Rygoth head-on. One voice cut through the chaos, the Vexian ambassador, a tall alien with crystalline skin that glimmered under the council's blue lights. His eyes, cold and calculating, never seemed to blink. "Ambassador Quinn," he said dismissively, "you speak of loss, but your species has been in space for barely 150 years. The Rygoth Dominion has existed for millennia. You should not be surprised by this. You are trespassing in their domain." The word stung. Humanity had done everything by the galactic rules. They had registered their colonies, obeyed the laws, and expanded cautiously. And yet, in the face of overwhelming aggression, the council could only offer excuses for the Rygoth. Kira's voice hardened, and she stepped forward, determined not to back down. "We did not start this war. We followed every protocol, every rule, and the Rygoth have ignored them all. They have taken everything from us, and you sit here, debating their actions as if they're justified." There was no response. The other council members, alien species of every shape and size, looked away, unwilling to risk angering the Rygoth, who held the balance of power in the galaxy. They were unwilling to protect humanity, unwilling to intervene. The cold truth was clear, humanity was on its own. Frustrated, Kira turned and walked away from the speaker's podium, her heart heavy with the realization that no one would come to their aid. But there was a spark in her mind, an idea that had been growing since the moment she first heard the warning from Earth Command. Humanity would not wait for permission. If the galaxy refused to act, they would act themselves. She activated her communicator, her voice quiet but resolute. "Send the signal. It's time. The Blackstar awakens." Far beyond Neptune's orbit, in a region of space deliberately left off star charts, something stirred. The USS Blackstar, humanity's greatest weapon, had been in hiding for nearly 90 years. It had been designed in secret, a warship unlike any other in the galaxy, built with one purpose, to defend humanity from annihilation. And now, that time had come. On the Blackstar's bridge, Captain James Rodriguez stood before his crew, the solemn expression on his face betraying nothing of the inner turmoil he felt. He had been preparing for this moment for decades, but no amount of training or simulation could have prepared him for the reality of what lay ahead. "Status report," Captain Rodriguez asked, his voice calm but firm. He knew that the first battle would set the tone for everything to come. Lieutenant Mara Chen, the ship's tactical officer, spoke first. "All systems are go, Captain. Weapons are online, shields at full power. The reactors are running at 80% capacity. We're ready to go." "Good," Rodriguez nodded. He glanced at the crew, all of them veterans who had volunteered for this mission, knowing that they might never return. "This is it, people. We fight for our survival today. There's no turning back." The crew exchanged glances, nodding silently in agreement. Each of them knew what was at stake. They had been trained for this moment for years, and now, humanity's fate rested in their hands. The first encounter, Blackstar's wrath. The Blackstar's engines roared to life as it tore through space, a force of destruction and defiance. The ship's massive size was impressive, its dark hull lined with weapon ports and shields that pulsed with raw energy. The Blackstar wasn't just a warship, it was humanity's statement to the galaxy: we will not go quietly. The ship entered the new Corian system, where the first of humanity's colonies had been attacked by the Rygoth. The mining colony had already fallen, but the Blackstar's mission was clear: strike back. "We've got Rygoth signatures, Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out, her eyes scanning the tactical display. "Their fleet is in orbit. Looks like they've been stripping the colony for resources." Rodriguez studied the data. The Rygoth fleet was large, far larger than their own, but the Blackstar was unlike any ship the galaxy had seen. Humanity's arsenal of nuclear-enhanced railguns and plasma torpedoes was a terrifying prospect for the Rygoth, who had always relied on sleek, advanced technology. The Blackstar, by contrast, was built for raw power, designed to endure and retaliate with brutal efficiency. "All weapons, target the lead ship," Rodriguez ordered. "Let's show them what happens when they cross humanity." The Blackstar's guns fired with a deafening roar. The first Rygoth ship disintegrated into a cloud of molten metal. It was followed by a second and then a third, each blast more devastating than the last. The Rygoth fleet, once so confident, was now scrambling to respond, but it was too late. The Blackstar was unstoppable. "We're hitting them hard, Captain," Chen reported, her voice barely hiding the excitement. "Their shields are holding, but just barely." Rodriguez nodded. "Keep the pressure on. No mercy." The Blackstar's weapons continued to fire, its railguns launching projectiles at impossible speeds. One by one, the Rygoth warships were torn apart, their shields shattering under the sheer force of humanity's fury. The crew cheered, but Rodriguez remained focused. They had won their first battle, but this was only the beginning. The galaxy would learn quickly: humanity would never back down. The aftermath. The battle ended swiftly, with the Blackstar left floating amid the wreckage of the Rygoth fleet. There was no celebration, no cheers. The crew knew what was to come. The Rygoth were only the first threat. The galaxy's reaction to humanity's new weapon would be one of fear, but also anger. "Status report," Rodriguez said, turning to his crew once more. "We've sustained minimal damage, Captain," Chen reported. "Shields are down to 60%, but our weapons are fully operational. We've taken some hits, but nothing we can't repair." Rodriguez sighed with relief, but the weight of what lay ahead pressed heavily on his shoulders. "We've shown them what we're capable of. But this is only the beginning. We're going to need more firepower, and more allies." "Will they help us, Captain?" Chen asked, her tone uncertain. Rodriguez looked out at the wreckage of the Rygoth fleet, a cold resolve settling in his chest. "They'll have to. If they want to survive the war we're about to fight, they'll have no choice." The destruction of the Rygoth fleet left a trail of smoke and debris scattered across the void of space. The crew of the USS Blackstar stood at their stations, silently processing the brutal efficiency with which they had just torn apart the invading fleet. The victory was swift, but the reality of the war ahead settled over them like a dark cloud. As Captain James Rodriguez stood on the bridge, his eyes never left the viewscreen. The vast emptiness of space stretched before them, yet the victory had felt hollow. They had just struck the first blow, but the war was far from over. The Rygoth Dominion was only one faction, and the galaxy's major powers, though wary of the Rygoth's aggressive expansion, now viewed humanity's retaliatory strike with suspicion and fear. The Sovereignty Council, a coalition of older galactic civilizations, had been forced to address humanity's unexpected emergence as a force to be reckoned with. The Council was in chaos. Some species supported humanity's right to defend itself, while others feared the rise of a new power that had disrupted the delicate balance of power across the galaxy. Rodriguez wasn't interested in the Council's politics. His mission was simple: defend humanity and ensure the survival of human colonies. And if that meant going to war with the galaxy's mightiest powers, so be it. The Blackstar was ready, and so were they. The Krieg response. In the aftermath of the Blackstar's devastating strike against the Rygoth, the Krieg Dominion, a massive empire that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, watched with keen interest. Their fleet, which had once considered itself invincible, now had a new threat to contend with. The Krieg War Ascendant, Vexor, was a cold and calculating leader. Known for his brutal efficiency, Vexor had spent years consolidating his empire's dominance through conquest and intimidation. The Blackstar's emergence represented a direct challenge to his power. "You underestimated humanity," Vexor, his second-in-command, Talon, said as they watched the reports of the Blackstar's attack on the Rygoth fleet. Vexor's reptilian eyes narrowed. "I see now that we have miscalculated. This human ship. It's unlike anything we've encountered before. The Blackstar is an anomaly, a ship of brute force and power. But no matter. We will crush them as we have crushed all others. Shall we engage them immediately?" Talon asked. "No," Vexor replied, his voice low and cold. "We need to observe. We will not send our fleet blindly into this fight. But rest assured, the Krieg Dominion will not allow this new threat to grow unchecked. Humanity's rise will be their undoing. Humanity's new battle plan." Back on the USS Blackstar, Rodriguez had gathered his senior officers for a strategy meeting. The Blackstar had been successful in its first mission, but the galaxy's attention was now fixed on them. It wouldn't be long before other fleets came to test humanity's resolve. "We've drawn the attention of more than just the Rygoth," Rodriguez said, pacing in front of the map of the galaxy that flickered before them. "The Krieg Dominion has taken notice of our victory, and they're not going to sit idly by. We need to prepare for the inevitable." Lieutenant Mara Chen, the tactical officer, nodded. "Our fleet is still small compared to theirs. But we have the advantage of surprise. Our weapons are unlike anything they've encountered before. We should use that to our advantage." Rodriguez looked at the map. The Krieg fleet, led by Vexor himself, was moving rapidly toward human space. "We won't wait for them to strike first. We'll take the fight to them. We'll hit their supply lines, their staging areas. We'll bleed them dry before they can gather their full forces." Commander Ava Park, the Blackstar's chief engineer, spoke up. "The Blackstar is ready, Captain. But we can't keep fighting without resupply. We need to find allies, or we'll burn out quickly." Rodriguez paused. He knew they couldn't win this war alone. But who could they trust in a galaxy that viewed them as newcomers? "We'll make allies where we can," Rodriguez said, his voice firm. "And we'll make it clear that humanity will not be the prey of this galaxy's old powers. We'll show them what happens when you push us too far." Humanity's first major offensive. The Blackstar, after recharging its weapons and recalibrating its shields, was ready for the next phase of the conflict. The Krieg fleet, with Vexor at the helm, was advancing toward New Argos, a strategically important human colony that was currently under threat. "Captain, we've intercepted their fleet's movements," Lieutenant Chen reported, a determined glint in her eyes. "They'll be in the New Argos system in 3 hours." Rodriguez nodded. "Plot a course. We're going to meet them head-on. Take out their forward command vessels before they can deploy their full fleet." The Blackstar entered the system with stealth and precision, emerging from FTL on the edge of the Krieg fleet. Their ships were scattered in a formation, thinking they had the advantage. They were wrong. "Launch kinetic bombs," Rodriguez ordered. The Blackstar's weapons erupted with a devastating force, the first round of projectiles striking the Krieg command vessels in a storm of fiery explosions. The Krieg ships scrambled to respond, but they were already too late. The Blackstar's unrelenting firepower punched through their shields with ease. "All ships, fire at will," Rodriguez ordered, his voice steady as his crew followed through with precision. The battlefield erupted into chaos, as Krieg ships were torn apart by the Blackstar's barrage. The Krieg fleet strikes back. Vexor watched through the tactical displays as his fleet began to engage the Blackstar. He had expected the humans to be dangerous, but the sheer brutality of their assault was something he had never anticipated. "Increase power to the shields," Vexor commanded. "Launch all interceptors. I want that ship destroyed." The Krieg fleet responded with everything they had, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons, missiles, and plasma bolts at the Blackstar. But the human ship held firm, its advanced shields absorbing the impact with barely a flicker. "All systems holding steady, Captain," Chen reported. "The Blackstar's shields are absorbing most of their fire. We're holding our own." Rodriguez grinned grimly. "Good. Let's show them what happens when they push us too far." The Blackstar engaged in close-quarters combat, dodging and weaving through the Krieg fleet, unleashing brutal counterattacks with its nuclear and kinetic weapons. One by one, the Krieg ships fell, their armor crumbling under the human warship's onslaught. But just as victory seemed within reach, the Krieg flagship, Vexor, engaged the Blackstar head-on, ramming it with its full momentum. The collision sent shockwaves through the Blackstar, shaking its crew to the core. "Captain!" Lieutenant Chen called out, her voice panicked. "The Krieg flagship is engaging with ramming speed. They're trying to destroy us from the inside. Hold steady." Rodriguez shouted. "We've been through worse. Get ready to fire everything we've got." In a final, desperate move, the Blackstar's crew launched a devastating nuclear missile at point-blank range, detonating it directly inside the Krieg flagship's shields. The explosion was catastrophic, turning the flagship into a mass of twisted metal and debris. The retreat and the aftermath. The Krieg fleet, leaderless and broken, began to retreat. The remaining ships scattered into the darkness of space, leaving the Blackstar victorious, but not without heavy damage. The battle had been intense, and the cost was high, but humanity had just proven it could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful empire. Rodriguez stood at the bridge, his crew exhausted but victorious. "We've taken another step toward freedom," he said, his voice unwavering. "But this war is far from over. We've proven our strength, but we must keep pushing. We can't stop until every last Krieg ship is in ruins." The beginning of the end. As the Blackstar turned its course toward the next target, a somber realization settled over the crew. The war was only beginning, but humanity had proven one undeniable truth: they would fight to the last breath. The galaxy had misjudged them. And now, it would pay the price. Humanity's battle for survival was only beginning, but the fires of war had been lit, and they would not be extinguished. After the Blackstar's harrowing victory in the new Argos system, the galaxy was forced to reckon with humanity's unexpected rise. The Krieg Dominion, once an undisputed power, had been humbled. Yet, despite their humiliating defeat, the Dominion had not been broken. War Ascendant Vexor was still determined to crush humanity, and his pride would not allow him to retreat in shame. In his eyes, this was far from over. But as the Blackstar tore through the Rygoth and Krieg fleets with brutal efficiency, something inside Captain James Rodriguez had shifted. He no longer saw himself as just a soldier protecting his people. He saw himself as the leader of a new force, one that could take on the entire galaxy. Humanity had always been considered weak, insignificant, and primitive by the older galactic civilizations, but now, that perception was being shattered. The Blackstar's weapons had proven superior, and the crew had become the beating heart of a growing revolution. As the Blackstar entered the Tython system, one of the last strongholds of the Rygoth, they knew this was not just about survival anymore. It was about sending a message to the entire galaxy: humanity will not be crushed. The battle for Tython, a test of human resilience. The Tython system was a strategic choke point in the galaxy. It controlled one of the few remaining supply routes to Krieg and Rygoth-occupied worlds. With the Rygoth Dominion collapsing, their leaders had made the decision to fortify the system, sending a massive fleet to defend it. Humanity had made its move, and now the Blackstar was headed straight for the heart of that enemy. The Blackstar's engines hummed as it entered the system, shrouded in the darkness of the distant star. The enemy was already there, prepared for war. They had underestimated the Blackstar once before, but now, they were ready to meet the most powerful ship humanity had ever built. "We're in range, Captain," Lieutenant Chen reported. "Rygoth fleet formation locked. They're setting up a defensive perimeter around the mining stations. Looks like they're trying to hold Tython at all costs." Rodriguez studied the display, his eyes narrowing. The Rygoth were well prepared. Their ships were heavily armored and bristling with energy weapons. But that didn't matter now. The Blackstar had survived their best shot. And this time, it was personal. Humanity was fighting for their right to exist, not just for survival, but for respect. "All systems, ready for battle," Rodriguez ordered. "Let's remind them why they should fear us." With that, the Blackstar leapt forward, its weapons already charging. The Blackstar's massive cannon fired first, sending out a pulse of gamma-ray bursts that tore through the nearest Rygoth destroyer. The explosion left a void where a ship had once been. The Rygoth fleet fired back with plasma cannons and heavy torpedoes, but their weapons were no match for the Blackstar's reinforced shields. The crew watched as the shields absorbed the energy blasts, glowing blue but holding strong. Commander Ava Park, the Blackstar's chief engineer, tapped her console, monitoring the damage. "Shields holding steady, Captain. We can take their hits." Rodriguez gave a small, grim smile. "Good. Let's give them something to remember. Human ingenuity versus galactic sophistication." The Blackstar was not a ship built for finesse. The Rygoth fleet relied on refined weaponry, advanced particle beams, quantum destabilizers, and warp-bending cannons that could tear through most ships with ease. But the Blackstar was crude, raw, and powerful. It was humanity's answer to a galaxy that had ignored them for too long. The fight was a bloodbath. Rygoth ships fell one by one as the Blackstar's weapons fired relentlessly, tearing through their shields and armor. The nuclear-powered railguns launched projectiles at relativistic speeds, obliterating entire enemy vessels with each shot. But despite the overwhelming firepower of the Blackstar, the Rygoth were not ready to back down. Their massive dreadnought, the Horrenter, advanced towards the Blackstar with a full salvo of plasma torpedoes, their bright blue streams of energy cutting through space. Rodriguez turned to his crew, his voice calm but commanding. "Brace for impact. Prepare countermeasures." The Blackstar's countermeasures were already deployed, kinetic interceptors launched from the ship's flanks, intercepting the incoming plasma rounds with surgical precision, obliterating them before they could make contact. But there was no time for celebration. "The Horrenter is closing in," Lieutenant Chen warned. "Their weapons are charging for a direct hit." Rodriguez didn't hesitate. "Fire everything we have. Now." The Blackstar's full arsenal was unleashed. Antimatter missiles, nuclear warheads, and charged particle beams tore through the Rygoth dreadnought's shields, weakening them before delivering a devastating final blow. The explosion that followed lit up the space around them, turning the Horrenter into a cloud of debris. "We've taken out their flagship," Park reported, her voice heavy with the knowledge that the battle was far from over. But the Rygoth fleet was now in disarray. Without their flagship, they began to scatter, retreating into the darkness of space, leaving behind wreckage and broken ships. The enemy retreats, but the fight is far from over. As the Rygoth ships fled, the Blackstar remained poised, ready for the next phase of the battle. There were still more Rygoth forces in the system, and they couldn't afford to let them regroup. Rodriguez's eyes never left the screen. "We've won the battle," Rodriguez said, though there was no celebration from his crew. "But we haven't won the war. Not by a long shot. We'll keep pressing them until they've learned that humanity doesn't fight to lose." The Blackstar's mission was not just to defeat the Rygoth, it was to send a message to the entire galaxy. Humanity would never be a punching bag again. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now, they would face the consequences of that mistake. The Sovereignty Council reacts. In the wake of the destruction at Tython, the Sovereignty Council convened an emergency session. News of humanity's victories had spread like wildfire, and now, the council members were forced to address the growing threat. Some were still in disbelief. How could such a young species have developed such power? Others, like the Vexian representative, saw humanity's actions as a dangerous escalation that could lead to galactic war. "What are we going to do about humanity?" the Vexian asked, his voice laced with concern. "I fear we have underestimated them," the Talvesh observer said, his ancient voice carrying the weight of millennia of experience. "Their weapons are crude, but they are effective. We are not prepared for a war with such a species." Ambassador Kira Quinn, still representing humanity's interests, stood before the council. "Humanity will no longer beg for protection. We've been fighting alone for too long. If you want peace, then help us end this war. If not, then we will continue to fight." The council was divided, and Quinn knew it. But she didn't care. Humanity was done waiting for permission. Captain Rodriguez and the Blackstar were sending a clear message to the galaxy: humanity would fight, and they would win. A new era begins. As the Blackstar made its way back into deep space, leaving the wreckage of the Rygoth fleet behind, Rodriguez stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. "The galaxy will learn to fear us. But more importantly, they will learn to respect us." And with that, humanity's greatest weapon, the Blackstar, disappeared into the vastness of space, ready to continue its campaign for freedom and survival. The Blackstar had left a trail of devastation in its wake, its weapons turning entire fleets to scrap. But as the crew began to lick their wounds and ready themselves for the next challenge, they knew that their biggest battle was yet to come. The Kriak Dominion, still reeling from the losses at New Argos and Tython, were not the only threat humanity faced. Other forces in the galaxy, from the Rygoth Dominion to independent mercenary factions, were beginning to take notice. Some would cower in fear, while others would seek to exploit humanity's newfound power. But none of that mattered to Captain James Rodriguez. His eyes were on the horizon. Humanity had proven its worth in battle, and now it was time to ensure that they would never be underestimated again. The Blackstar was ready for the next challenge, an all-out war with the Kriak Dominion, the most powerful empire in the galaxy. The Kriak counterattack. In the wake of their disastrous defeat at Tython, the Kriak Dominion regrouped under the command of War Ascendant Vexor. Humiliated and angry, Vexor had sworn to wipe out humanity, regardless of the cost. He knew that humanity's weapon, the USS Blackstar, posed the greatest threat to the Dominion's hold on the galaxy. No longer concerned with maintaining diplomatic relations or intergalactic politics, Vexor had mobilized the Kriak Second Armada, the largest and most lethal fleet in their arsenal. "Prepare to move out," Vexor ordered, his reptilian face steely with determination. "We will show humanity the cost of defying the Dominion. Their warship will be destroyed. And we will leave their species in ruins." The Second Armada, a formidable fleet of nearly 200 warships, led by Thexver, one of Vexor's most trusted generals, was set to strike at the heart of humanity's colonial holdings. Their objective, Earth itself. Vexor wanted to make a statement: if humanity dared to resist, they would pay the price in blood. The Blackstar prepares for the final assault. The USS Blackstar and its crew had no illusions about the coming storm. This wasn't just another skirmish. The Kriak Second Armada was a crushing force, and they would bring everything to bear to wipe out humanity's last remaining resistance. Yet, Captain Rodriguez had prepared for this moment for months, knowing that the Blackstar's power was their only hope for survival. The Blackstar's bridge was quiet as Rodriguez addressed his officers. The weight of the situation was evident on their faces. The crew had fought well and survived, but this battle would test their mettle in ways they hadn't imagined. "We know what's coming," Rodriguez said, his voice cold and steady. "The Kriak Dominion has made it clear, they want our destruction. They've underestimated us before, but they won't make that mistake again. It's time to finish what we started." Lieutenant Marachin spoke up, her tactical displays showing the incoming fleet. The Krieg's second armada is massive. They've got 200 ships, and they're coming directly for Earth. They'll be here in 72 hours. Rodriguez nodded grimly. We don't have that long. We'll hit them first. Take the fight to them on their terms, in their own backyard. We'll make them feel the weight of what they've done. The battle for Earth, the final gambit. The Blackstar moved out of the Tython system, pushing toward Earth with relentless speed. The Blackstar had undergone several upgrades since its last battle, and its crew had become a well-oiled machine. Captain Rodriguez knew the stakes were higher than ever before. This would be the defining moment for humanity's future in the galaxy. But the crew wasn't just preparing for a fight, they were preparing for a war. The Blackstar would have to take on the full might of the Krieg Dominion's fleet, and they would have to do it in their own home system. The mission was simple: defend Earth at all costs. Status report, Lieutenant Chen, Rodriguez asked as he studied the tactical map. We've entered the Alpha Helios asteroid field, Captain, Chen replied, her fingers moving deftly over the control panels. The Krieg fleet is on a direct course toward Earth, but they haven't detected us yet. We'll have the element of surprise. Good, Rodriguez said. Take us deeper into the field. We'll strike from a blind spot, using the asteroids as cover. We'll hit them fast, hard, and get out before they can react. First blood, humanity strikes back. The battle began in the Alpha Helios asteroid field. The Krieg's second armada moved into position to engage Earth, unaware that the Blackstar was hiding in plain sight. The Blackstar emerged from behind a massive asteroid and fired the first shot, a nuclear-enhanced railgun blast that obliterated one of the Krieg dreadnoughts before the fleet even knew what hit them. Direct hit. Lieutenant Chen reported, her voice ringing with excitement. Their shields didn't even hold. The Krieg fleet immediately retaliated, launching a barrage of plasma bolts and quantum missiles at the Blackstar's position. But the Blackstar's advanced shielding technology held firm as they sped through the asteroid field, dodging incoming fire and launching strikes from unexpected angles. Deploy kinetic interceptors. Rodriguez ordered. We can't afford to let them corner us. The Blackstar's point defense systems unleashed a deadly barrage of solid projectiles, intercepting the incoming Krieg missiles and rendering them useless. The Blackstar returned fire, launching antimatter missiles that decimated Krieg ships at point-blank range. A new weapon, the Blackstar's secret. As the battle raged on, Commander Ava Park reported that the Blackstar's experimental weapons system was fully operational. This weapon had been under development for months, a last resort measure in the event of a catastrophic war. Captain, we've got the green light for the new system, Park said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Rodriguez nodded. Activate the new weapon, Commander. Let's show them what humanity can do. The new system was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Blackstar unleashed a focused gravitational wave pulse, a massive shockwave that disrupted the very fabric of space around the Krieg ships. Their shields failed instantly as the gravity fields crushed their hulls from the inside out. Multiple Krieg ships going dark, Captain, Chen reported. Their fleet is breaking apart. The Krieg forces, once so proud and powerful, were falling apart at the seams. The Blackstar had torn through them with brutal force, its weapons leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. The final showdown, Vexor's last stand. With the Krieg fleet in disarray, Vexor was forced to take matters into his own hands. His flagship, Vexor, was the last remaining warship of the Second Armada. Despite his failure to destroy the Blackstar, Vexor was determined to exact vengeance. He ordered his ship to engage the Blackstar head-on, ramming speed. Get us into firing range, Lieutenant, Rodriguez ordered. We're not letting him take us down that easily. The Blackstar's engines roared as it closed the distance to the Krieg flagship. Plasma bolts and railgun blasts exchanged in rapid succession. But the Blackstar's new weapons tore through Vexor's shields, and within moments, the Krieg flagship was reduced to scrap. With one final salvo, the Blackstar fired its gravitational wave pulse again, causing Thexfer to collapse under the pressure. The explosion was massive, turning the Krieg flagship into a burst of energy and debris. Humanity's victory, the galaxy's reckoning. With the Krieg fleet shattered and their flagship destroyed, the remaining Krieg ships retreated, leaving Earth and its colonies safe, for now. The battle had been hard fought, but humanity had proven once and for all that they were a force to be reckoned with. Rodriguez stood at the Blackstar's bridge, the crew exhausted but victorious. "We've done it," he said quietly. "We've shown them what happens when you push humanity to the brink." But Rodriguez knew this was only a temporary victory. The galaxy was still full of enemies who saw humanity as a threat. The war was far from over. But for now, humanity had earned its place among the stars. The Blackstar turned its course back toward Earth, its mission complete, for now. The aftermath of the Krieg Dominion's retreat left the galaxy in stunned silence. The USS Blackstar, having just obliterated one of the largest military fleets in the galaxy, now hovered above Earth, its crew exhausted but resolute. Captain James Rodriguez stood in the command chair, staring out at the stars, contemplating what came next. The victory was monumental, but it had come at a great cost, and the reality of what humanity had done, what it had become, was just beginning to sink in. Lieutenant Mara Chen broke the silence. "Captain, we're receiving multiple signals from Earth Command. They're requesting an immediate debrief." Rodriguez turned slowly, his voice calm but tired. "Put them through." The image of Admiral Thomas Graves appeared on the main display, his features weathered with years of service, but a flicker of hope in his eyes. "Captain Rodriguez," he began, his voice filled with pride, "you and your crew have just changed the course of history. You've not only defended Earth but also proved humanity's place in the galaxy." Rodriguez nodded, but there was no celebration in his eyes. "We've won a battle, Admiral. But the war is far from over. The Krieg are just one faction. We've shaken the galaxy awake, and others will come. They'll want to take their shot at us now." Graves' face hardened. "I agree. You've sparked a new era of conflict, Captain. But you've also made an enemy of every major power in the galaxy. The Sovereignty Council is in an emergency session, and rumors of your victory are spreading like wildfire. Humanity is no longer just a speck on the galactic map." The Sovereignty Council's dilemma. Back in the Sovereignty Council, a different kind of reckoning was taking place. The Vexian representative stared at the reports with growing concern. The Krieg Dominion, once the undisputed power in the galaxy, had been shattered in a matter of hours. Thexfer, Vexer's most trusted general, had been destroyed. And in the wake of the destruction, humanity had proved that it could fight, and win, against the most powerful forces the galaxy had to offer. The Talvesh observer, his alien form standing tall and stoic, spoke first. "We've underestimated humanity. Their technology is crude by our standards, but it is effective. We must decide what to do next. If we do not address this threat, others will follow their lead. And if we engage them, we risk turning the entire galaxy into a battlefield." The Vexian was not so reserved. "Humanity has shown that it is a wild card. Their warship, the Blackstar, is unlike anything we've encountered before. We cannot allow them to continue unchecked. They will destabilize the entire sector. We must strike them down before they grow even stronger." "But they are not alone," the Talvesh observer warned. "They've already proven that they will not back down. Engaging them would not be as simple as destroying their fleet. Humanity will not bow to us as the Rygoth did. We must find another way." The Vexian representative scowled. "Then we must make it clear to them, they are not welcome in this galaxy. We will not tolerate their presence any longer." The Blackstar's call to arms. Meanwhile, on the USS Blackstar, Rodriguez had received disturbing intelligence reports from his scouts. Other factions in the galaxy, factions that had long kept their distance, were now mobilizing. The Luminar Compact, known for its diplomatic stance, had sent emissaries to Earth, urging humanity to reassess its role in the galactic community. The Talvesh Collective had also made overtures, offering a peaceful alliance, but with terms that Rodriguez found unacceptable. Humanity had proven it could survive without help, but now, the question remained, could humanity survive alone? "Captain," Lieutenant Chen called out from her station, her fingers flying over the controls. "We've received encrypted messages from the Luminar Compact and Talvesh Collective. They want a meeting. They're calling it a negotiation." Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. "We don't negotiate with those who want to control us. The Krieg tried that, and look where it got them." Commander Ava Park, the Blackstar's chief engineer, leaned in, her voice concerned. "The problem, Captain, is that the galaxy is already preparing for the next phase of this war. Our victory was impressive, but we're outgunned. We may have the Blackstar, but we need more ships, more allies, if we're going to keep our enemies at bay." Rodriguez thought for a moment, then stood up from his chair, the weight of leadership pressing down on him. "Prepare the ship for a jump to thick space. We're going to find out who's with us, and who's against us. We can't do this alone. The First Alliance, Shadows of the Future." The Thick system was a remote, resource-rich sector that had long been considered neutral territory by the galaxy's major powers. However, the Thick Collective, a highly secretive and advanced alien species, had remained largely independent, avoiding any major conflicts. It was this group that Rodriguez now sought out. As the Blackstar arrived in the Thick system, the tension was palpable. Captain Rodriguez and his crew had no illusions about the stakes. The Thick Collective had never aligned themselves with any other power, but rumors had long circulated about their incredible technological prowess. If they were to stand with humanity, the galaxy might be forced to reconsider their approach. "Captain, we're being hailed," Lieutenant Chen said, her voice tight with the weight of anticipation. Rodriguez nodded, stepping forward. The comm screen flickered to life, revealing the figure of a Thick representative, a towering alien with silvered skin and glowing eyes that seemed to see straight through him. "You are the humans responsible for the destruction of the Krieg fleet," the Thick representative said in a deep, resonating voice. "You have stirred the galaxy into motion. Why should we help you?" Rodriguez didn't hesitate. "We're not asking for your help. We're offering you a choice. Humanity will not bend to the will of the galaxy's tyrants. We stand for freedom, for independence. And we will not back down from those who seek to control us. If you stand with us, we can bring about a new order, one that values the sovereignty of all species, not just the strongest." The Thick representative considered his words carefully, the silence stretching on for what felt like an eternity. Finally, they spoke again. "Perhaps there is more to humanity than we thought. We will discuss your offer in private. But know this, should you fail, the galaxy will not stand idly by. The path forward." As the Blackstar prepared to leave Thick space, the crew had done something they thought impossible, they had made their first ally. The Thick Collective, though wary, had agreed to stand with humanity, at least for now. The tide of war was shifting, but the future was still uncertain. Rodriguez knew the galaxy would never be the same again. The Blackstar had changed everything. But as they left Thick space, an unsettling thought lingered in Rodriguez's mind. The galaxy was vast, and there were forces out there, still watching, still waiting. Humanity had made a powerful enemy in the Krieg Dominion, and there were many more that would soon test humanity's resolve. The Sovereignty Council would eventually have to confront humanity, and their decision would decide the future of the galaxy. Humanity's defiance had sent ripples through the stars, but in the end, would it be enough to secure peace? Or would they be forced to fight until every last alien fleet had been torn asunder?